The tilt is real. Tilt is real. This is when the tilt is real.
Welcome to another episode of the Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the chef's table, here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena. Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Tilt is Real Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host today, James Crease, also known as the Fantasy Football Chef. And here with me today, Mr. JAWN Swanson is in the building. John, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well, Chef. Thank you. This evening we are doing the show with the absence of FF One of a Kind. He is moving right now, which is always a very arduous and long-winded task. So, you got to get it done when you can get it done. So we will be holding it down tonight, Monday, in the absence of Juan.
But he's here with us in spirit, so it's all good. We're gonna have a great show. We have some helpful hints that we've prepared, and we're gonna ride through it. For those of you that are asking why I have a red Giants jersey on, it's because it's number 17, and why would I wear a jersey after we lost? After I've lost so many playoff matches over yesterday's games. I'm gonna turn around real fast, and I hope you guys can see this. I'm gonna get up. Take my headphones off so I don't rip it out.
Oh, there you go. Smart idea.
You guys see that?
Wow.
Do you see
that? I think I know where this is going.
That's a Plaxico Burress jersey. You know why, Mr. Swanson?
Why is that?
Because I want to shoot myself after what happened on the fantasy football field yesterday. Miles Sanders? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Between Cam Akers and Miles Sanders, my heart felt like it got ripped out of my chest Thursday and Sunday, and I don't have any juice left for tonight. I have J.K. Dobbins with a desperation dart throw. I need like 70 points. It's not going to happen, even with the bonuses in that league. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. Man, that's tough. That's really funny. The whole I'm gonna shoot myself thing. That was
I felt it appropriate while I was getting ready for the show, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to kill myself today. And for those kids out there listening, please don't take that the wrong way. We would never harm ourselves over fantasy football.
Absolutely not. But fantasy football makes you say a lot of things you don't actually mean sometimes, because then you get this far into the playoffs and you've navigated 2020 through all the ridiculousness that 2020 has handed us, and then stuff like that happens. So
yeah,
we get it. I understand.
But let's get into some of these matchups.
Sure.
And the first one that we want to talk about here is the Texans at the Bears. The Bears win this 36-7, and we mentioned on the Sunday show that Deshaun Watson was still going to be a play, and it didn't work out in that way. The Bears really rolled the Texans here. Mitch Trubisky, he came up with a day yesterday. 24 completions, 267 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Is he back? I think so, but
he might be, because with him comes the resurrection of Allen Robinson. So you gotta love that. You gotta see there's definitely something there. Might be worth that that draft pick. Passing over Mahomes. No, but it is, I don't know. It feels pretty good. How do you feel about Trubisky going forward? Do you feel like the same way?
I guess they found their rhythm, I guess, with him. I think it also had to do with their schedule. It lightened up for him the last 2 games, and David Montgomery is there to help him. We saw David this week, 11 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown, and then another 3 receptions on 4 targets, 42 yards, finishes the day with 24.5 fantasy points, and he's a top 10 running back for the season.
Yeah.
When we started this whole thing, Mr. Swanson, we all wrote down David Montgomery in the low end 2s. Never did we expect to be talking about in week 14 where David Montgomery is a top RB1 running back.
Yeah, you're right. We kind of wrote him off a little bit, but he's been killing it, especially the last 3 weeks, 32, 27, 31 fantasy points. I mean, he has been rolling. And if you have him and you had hopes of getting into the fantasy playoffs, he has definitely been a crucial part of your fantasy run.
Yeah. The Bears face the Vikings next week. They should be able to put up, it should be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to this one. And then I'm also looking forward to the Texans taking a step in the right direction after this loss. It was a gut check. You know, they were in some close games the past couple weeks, and they should get Brandon Cooks back. He wasn't practicing this past week, but should come back into full gear for week 15. And then David Johnson, he caught the 2020 or is a close contact and was taken out. He should be back next week when they face the Colts. So I think there's better output for Deshaun Watson in week 15 moving forward.
I hope so, because I have him somewhere too. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I'll take whatever I can get. All right. Cowboys. Wow.
Yeah, it was one-sided, to say the least.
One-sided. What's going on with the NFC, formerly known as the NFC least, lately towards the back half of the season? I mean, some of these guys are coming alive a little bit here in weird ways, and we'll get to the rest of them. But
yeah, I guess it's like an NFC beast that's coming out right now with the defenses.
With the defenses, yeah, on the defensive side of the ball.
You know, the Giants of late were good, and except for this week, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The Eagles, they showed up yesterday. The Washington Redskins, it was all defense. I can't wait to talk about them a little bit.
Let's go.
But the Cowboys here, the D really showed up big in this one. 3 fumbles recovered, 1 for a touchdown. Huge. And then the running game, I mean, we saw Pollard and Zeke split carries. I believe Zeke had 13 and Pollard had 12, but Pollard gets the touchdown here. They didn't really have to do too much, but they got it done with the usual candidates. Andy Dalton to Amari Cooper gets the score in there, and he finishes up for 15.1 fantasy points. And the Bengals, man,
yeah, wow. I mean, what happened with that? What's weird on the Bengals side of the ball too is that the bright spot was AJ Green.
Yeah, who would have thought?
You know what I mean? Who would have thought? Speaking about teams who are or things that are happening in the back half of the season that are actually positive, 6 for 62 and a touchdown. I dropped AJ Green this week to pick up whoever it was.
And he probably beat that whoever it was.
Yeah, he probably did. And I haven't looked at it. Well, you know what? Maybe I think I picked him up. That might be the league where I had the bye week, so I may have picked up. I lost Antonio Gibson, so I most likely picked up a running back in that particular league and dropped AJ Green for him. So it's not like I was going to start him this week anyway. But yeah, Cowboys rolled him, man. It really did.
Not too much else to say about that one. The Cowboys going up against the 49ers next week. Bengals have a real tough matchup against the Steelers. And we knew the Bengals season was over once Joe Burrow had that sad injury that we all saw.
Terrible.
So we understand, but Gio Bernard, we told you you could flex him. Very, very disappointing. And then his backup Travion Williams, fumbling the ball. No excuses, man. It doesn't matter if you're the 3rd, 4th, 5th running back on the depth chart. You need to be able to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. One question here before we move on to the next matchup.
Sure.
What do you do? What are you doing with Zeke? If you are a playoff team and you have Zeke, do you find a pivot at this point? Play San Francisco next week and then Philadelphia in week 16, those are not favorable matchups for Zeke. And if he's now splitting carries with Pollard, what do you do, man?
Well, hopefully you handcuffed him earlier on in the playoffs with Pollard. And if not, I mean, they're giving out the same production. I don't know what they'll do up against the 49ers per se. I haven't really looked at it in depth, but it's tough. You really probably don't have a stronger pivot on your roster with the running back circumstances going on. I mean, you may have a flyer like Mike Davis or, like a Naeem Hines sitting there. I might play Naeem Hines over him depending on matchup. They play the Texans next week. That might be a win there, but Jonathan
Yeah, you
Taylor's
can see
coming
it.
into his own. So
Yes, he is. Finally.
it's real tough. There's not many options left, especially in the fantasy playoffs, and that's the truth of it all.
True.
I benched Miles Sanders this week, and I want a Plaxico Burress. So that's what it is.
That's
And it's
2020, baby.
yeah, it's tough out there. It's hard out there for a fantasy player.
It is, and it's tough for the Dolphins too because they put up a fight against the old Chiefs, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was more one-sided. The Chiefs won. The scoreboard says 33-27, and the Chiefs, congratulations, they clinch a playoff berth. But the defense for the Dolphins came up strong early on and had a couple interceptions and were up 10-0 in this matchup,
Yeah.
but came away with sometimes no points. And Mahomes took advantage of it. They were up 30-10 at the half, utilizing Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce
Kelsey.
throughout the game. Yeah, Kelce crushed, man. 8 for
Yeah, dude.
136. He's a beast.
He really is. He's in a
And
different league.
I'm happy to see Tua actually finally have a better game. His best fantasy game of the season, matter of
Yeah.
fact. 3 total touchdowns, 28 completions for 316 yards. He finished as a QB2 on the week. Did you realize
Yeah.
that?
I did. Now I do. I mean, I was looking at it before. Yeah. I mean, that's where you put him on your roster for.
Yeah, and I
That's
don't
what you
think
wanted.
many people were able to play him. I don't know if they trusted to play them, but if you were in a situation where you had to play him, you were rewarded this week and you got your points out of him.
I feel like a lot of folks were in that position. You gotta. It's been a weird year. You gotta scramble to do some strange things, and he still did it without Parker, who went down with a knee injury earlier. Which
Right, and it sparked Lynn Bowden,
yep,
Juan's guy. Juan's been cheering for Lynn Bowden since the draft. And he finally gets his biggest day, 7 for 82, 15.4 fantasy points. And Mahomes, I know this is his first game with 3 interceptions in one game, but he's still one of the best in the league, if not the best. I want to see what he can continue to do as that salary starts to dwindle into the Chiefs' payroll a little bit, but I'm sure they'll be doing well as long as Andy Reid's there. He seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, Andy Reid. Fat Andy knows not so fat Andy knows a thing or two about football. I love
It's
Andy
those
Reid.
Hawaiian shirts, man. It keeps him at ease, I guess.
That's what it is. It's the Tommy Bahama sponsorship, man. It goes a long way. It really goes a long way.
Well, the Chiefs play the Saints next week,
Mm.
and the Dolphins going up against New England. The Dolphins are on the cusp here in the playoffs, and it's gonna be crazy to see if they can make a push. And they have to push right through the Patriots, who we saw who were abysmal to the Rams last week. But and the Dolphins beat the Rams earlier in the season. They destroyed them with their defense, if you remember.
Sure do.
That's crazy. That's crazy that they have that matchup against New England, and it's going to decide whether or not they make it into the playoffs, I think.
I can really see New England losing this game, man. On the heels of that Dolphins defense, I can really see it happening.
Yeah.
What a
their
year.
defense could put them into the playoffs and clinch a wild card spot, I believe. But
I would love to see that.
Happens. They deserve it. They've been playing well, and Tua showed up. I just don't know if they have the pieces to compete once they get into the playoffs, and that's something due to injury. Losing Preston Williams, Myles Gaskin wasn't available in this game. Salvin Ahmed, Matt Breida, they were all out. So we knew going into this game that they were going to get rolled, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yep.
Regardless of what the scoreboard says.
What the score said, yeah.
And now for my shame moment, the Cardinals at the Giants.
Let's do it. All right, let's just get it out of the way.
Can you read these off because I'm really hurting in this one, and I may jump in for a little commentary, but I'm hurting. I'm hurting on this, man.
I'll just get the bad ones out of the way. 8 sacks. That's a Carson Wentz number. That's tough. Murray, not too much. Really kind of, I guess, serviceable and depending on your league scoring, but 24 for 245 and 1. You got 43 yards on the ground, 47 yards on the ground on 13 carries. Really not a great game, kind of a pedestrian. Like if you had to flex a quarterback, this would probably be a nice flex score.
Yeah.
But Kyler Murray really hasn't been getting it done the way you want him to. And, it's a shame that it really, it wasn't a Kyler Murray game. Drake had 23 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown, one catch for 10 yards. He finished with 14 points, but it was D-Hop, man, that really got it done. 9 for 11 for 136. Finished the day with 22.6 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really nuts how he relied on D-Hop to get it done, and Drake took it the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And we saw Murray's points, not good, but this is one of his I guess he's back on the up. He's starting to feel better. He's starting to trust that shoulder a little bit more. But once again, we saw D-Hop last week get a lot of targets. He got a lot of targets this week as well. And on the other side of the ball, Daniel Jones, they shouldn't have played him.
No, they shouldn't have. I agree.
They shouldn't have done it. They rushed him out there because they were in the situation to get a playoff win.
Yep.
And what I think that what happened as a Giants fan, they should have put Colt McCoy in there just in case. So Daniel Jones didn't get hurt. And then you see him getting hit and reaching back for that hamstring again. It's like, oh my God,
moment, man.
Like why did they even bother? This is the one bad move from Joe Judge that I saw. The offensive line wasn't up to the task. The Cardinals, it looked like they knew what was going on more than the Giants did, obviously.
Yeah.
They knew the Giants, every single move. That offensive line was not gelling yesterday, and Daniel Jones paid the price. Colt McCoy got sacked as well. It was just terrible, man. And the Cardinals, they play up against the Eagles next week.
Yeah, so the Cardinals next week. I mean, we'll get into what happened with the Eagles, but losing Rodney McLeod yesterday opens up, opportunities for Kyler Murray, especially. I think Kyler Murray will be a nice play next week. Maybe not so much Drake, but I think Kyler Murray and D-Hop would be a great play next week against the Eagles.
Yeah, I like that. I like that take.
Losing our safety, our number one safety, that's definitely going to hurt.
And then the Giants play the Browns next week, and we're going to get into tonight's matchup in a little bit, but I'm hoping that the Browns win this and they clinch. If they can clinch a playoff berth, that would make me happy. Maybe they won't play as hard because they're not going to win the AFC bye anyway. I don't know. I'm hoping and wishing here. I needed the Giants to win to get into the playoffs. If not, we slip and we'll get a nice draft pick, man. Whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Take something nice out of it. You'll get a nice draft pick. It's been a rough year for the NFC East, man.
Yeah,
it really has. And not for nothing, we sometimes tend to forget because it's this far deep into the season. But losing Saquon Barkley, come on, man. That's a blow. Not everybody has a Mike Davis to throw out there. I mean, Gallman's done his thing. Like, no disrespect to Gallman, he really has. But Mike Davis has been amazing in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. But losing that for the Giants, that's tough, bro.
Yeah.
Tough city.
You can't do much. And you mentioned Gallman, 12 carries, 57 yards, man. You just can't get it done on that. That's not how you win ball games. But the Vikings, they were on a roll. They come into Tampa Bay, and the Bucs just roll right over them coming out of the bye. Yep. Neither Cousins or Brady were very impressive in this matchup, and it wasn't a shootout like we originally predicted on Sunday.
Correct. Yeah, I thought it was going to be.
It turned more into a running match between Dalvin Cook in the first half and Rojo cleaning up 18 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. But no Tampa Bay receiver over 5 receptions or 56 yards. And Scotty Miller, of all people, catches a 48-yard touchdown. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that? It wasn't AB. It wasn't Chris Godwin. It wasn't Mike Evans.
Yeah.
It was Scotty Miller of all players. But if you watch the play, it was a beautiful bomb by Tom Brady.
That was unexpected, but Scotty Miller's making a name for himself. I mean, if you're a dynasty, you definitely want to hold on to Scotty Miller. And what do they got next week? They're playing the Falcons. Oh boy. I mean, do you start Scotty Miller next week against the Falcons?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I
no.
think he's
Okay.
a flash in the he's a flash in the pan, man. You
Flash in the
don't know
pan.
it's yeah, flash in the pan.
Flash in the
Uh,
pan, man.
Laban, uh, like a little quick saute jump, you jump it out, you jump him in, you jump him out. You can't do that with Scotty Miller because it's just the starting point. You don't know when it's gonna pop. You don't know his boiling point. So
Mm.
we don't know when he's going to boom, and that is not a player for dynasty purposes. Absolutely, you hold on to him. You never know what they'll do with AB next year. Looks like Scotty Miller will be a part of that offense moving forward. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can't throw him in and risk your fantasy championship over him. I wouldn't
Speaking
do
of
that.
fantasy championships, speaking of risk, Thielen and Jefferson held to under 10 fantasy points. Oof. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough,
I
man.
and you know what it was? It was they came out of contention. The Bucks were weak on defense the past
Mhm.
couple weeks in the secondary. I believe Jamel Dean, their head cornerback, he played and shut down Jefferson, and then Thielen just couldn't get anything going, and the
Yeah.
Buccaneers front four took over. Even with Dalvin Cook breaking through, they started in the beginning of the half. Like I said, I think he was at like 60 yards at halftime, and he finishes the day with 22 carries, 102 yards, and
Yeah.
a touchdown for 19 fantasy points. But it just wasn't enough to beat the Bucks, and it may have taken them out of playoff contention.
Yeah. It's tough to see, man. They go against the Bears next week, who are definitely on a roll. So we'll see how that works. It's
And
going
the
to
and
be
the
a scary one.
Yeah, and then the Bucks going forward, I think next week against the Falcons, they could roll them as well, and that's a fantasy matchup waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm looking here right now. Yeah.
The
Then they
last
played
time they
Detroit.
played them,
Well, no, the last time they played them
they
this
haven't played them since
they
last
haven't
year.
yeah, they
Yeah,
didn't
they
play
haven't
them
played
since
them yet
last
this
year.
year.
But you gotta think that they're gonna get it done against Atlanta. Then they play Detroit after that. So,
Oh, yeah, Tom Brady going down the stretch should be a
yeah,
smash. I
that
I
should
see
be
him I see him starting to hit that 300-yard mark and 3 touchdowns again, like he did against
sure.
Carolina in week 10. Kansas City had a good game. I think the shootouts are his bread and butter and how he utilizes all those receivers, and their stock should rise with that as well.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. And speaking of the Panthers, you just mentioned, what happened? Panthers. Broncos win 32-27.
Oh, man.
This killed a parlay of mine. Did it kill any of yours?
Oh, plenty, 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 plenty.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the Panthers were gonna come out of the bye and even
Same.
without Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore in the offense, I thought they were gonna do it. But I mean, Mike Davis had a very nice outing, 11 carries for 51 yards. He got pay dirt twice, 5
Yeah.
receptions for 42 yards, finished the day with 26.3 fantasy points, a top 10 running back.
Mhm.
And but it just wasn't enough, that's how it goes. Drew Lock and their
Who was gonna
and
predict Drew Lock for throwing for 280 and 4? Spreading the ball around. Come on.
Yeah, even with
Crazy.
Fant leaving early with the illness, with the illness, no, down with the sickness. No,
Oh,
yeah, like he wasn't. I don't know what the illness was. I know he
he was
tested negative
disturbed.
for 2020, but he came into the game and then left right away in the first half.
Yeah.
Didn't return, but Drew Lock spread the ball around, and he used KJ Hamler, the
KJ Hamler.
big winner, 2 receptions, 86 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Like, every time this guy
that's great.
actually can touch the ball, he just takes it apart.
Magic
I
happens.
I don't I don't know what it is.
Magic happens. Are you having trouble with your camera over there?
Yeah, it looks like it. I just checked on there. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Now it looks like you're in
let me
like
see if I can get it back going here.
a Saw movie or something like that.
Yeah, I need a new I put out a thing on the there we go.
Chef, your camera is off, says Juan Carlos. Oh boy, there he is.
Hey,
Hey, what it is?
what's
What's up,
going on,
dude?
Juan?
Thank you, Santino. Thank you, everybody, for
Oh, you guys are checking in. Hey, what's up,
man.
guys? Yeah.
They noticed it before. I mean, I noticed it, but I
I
wanted you to
noticed it
see the
too, and
point.
it's been doing that. I need a GoFundMe for my new webcam. My wife has this thing where I can't buy Christmas presents for myself until after Christmas. So if I didn't get it for Christmas as a gift, then I can go and get it. But I was like,
Oh, that's
like
cool.
3 weeks ago, my camera started to shudder a little bit, and what it just did there, it sputtered out of control.
Is that a
And
play
I'm
on
like,
words? Your camera started to shutter.
yeah. A little bit.
Nah.
That's what we do. We build good recipes of verbiage. Anyway, I need some
Yeah.
verbiage here. But yeah, so I needed a new webcam, and my wife's like, "Well, you just buy everything you want for Christmas. So why am I going to get you gifts?" So I have to wait. I have to wait for a webcam. I may buy one this week. I don't know. This is like the third show that I've experienced difficulties.
All right. Well, I mean,
Anyway,
you
enough
look
of my
great. You look good
banter.
now. You look great right now. You're definitely
Yeah, it
holding it
comes
together,
back.
man.
It does fine. It does fine. The Broncos play the Bills next week,
He is.
and we saw what the Bills did late last night.
Oh.
Panthers at the Packers doesn't look good for the Panthers.
Mm-mm.
But hey, they could surprise, with CMC coming back and hopefully DJ Moore come back, and that should be a great matchup. Now that I'm thinking about it,
You think
Panthers versus
CMC comes
Packers.
back?
Yeah, I think he should.
You think he's
I
back?
maybe you have to watch. I don't know how they're going to play it out because they really are out of contention.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I'm thinking maybe CMC doesn't come
So
back.
they
But if
may
that's
shelf
the case,
him. They may shelf him for the rest of the season. And if you're a Mike Davis owner, that'd be
that's
wonderful.
great. That's a great game for Mike Davis, man. Week 14, Mike Davis against the Packers. Let's go. Lucky
Yeah,
you.
but we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Maybe they were just writing a story about CMC and his. I think it was his groin or his hamstring or something like that. His quad. That's what it was. It was a quad.
It's quad. It's all in that same sort of area.
We'll see what happens. But let's talk about the next one because the next one involves royalty. Titans win over the Jaguars, 31-10.
Hang on. Juan just said, did this just happen? Is this happening right now? Luciella just said, hi, Tio, and I see Bud Johnson. She just read for the first time.
And she says, hi, Tio. Oh, are you serious?
She just, wow.
That's amazing.
Did we just witness? Wow, that's crazy. All right, cool.
And then she said this. Her second words were King Henry. That's what I get. That's what, yeah. Yep. See, yes.
Wow,
That's great.
That is great.
And like I mentioned, this game was the definition of a blowout. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The real news was King Henry, 26 carries, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, 36.2 fantasy points. Oh, and I don't own a single share of this man. Oh, it stinks. But he was the RB1 on the week. And as of right now, he's the running back 3 on the season. Only behind Kamara and Cook. And we saw some of those blowout games. Remember when Cook had a 4 touchdown game or something like that? But
it was. Yeah, wow. That's crazy, man.
In standard, just in yardage, he is the number 1 running back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just to think about where he was drafted. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Just like Juan said.
Well, some in the middle, some in the end.
He's going to get 2,000. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
It's amazing, especially with the matchup next week going up against the Lions. I think he crushes there as well.
Oh, yeah.
But for some of the other I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, some of the other. I mean, AJ Brown crushed it, 7 for 112 and a touchdown. Finished with 24.2 fantasy points. It's a great day. Well, we're hoping for.
Well, that's their MO. That's the Titans' MO. When they get the running game going with King Henry, they activate the play action. And we didn't see big numbers from Tannehill, but we didn't need to. He hits AJ Brown for a nice one-handed grab touchdown. Yeah. And then Corey Davis, who we'd been mentioning and who I thought was going to be a great start, let us down here. 3 receptions for 34 yards. They didn't really need him. So he took a back seat to the rest of the offense. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you really wanted a little more out of Corey Davis, but it's not going to happen when you got King Henry on the ground setting everything up and then AJ Brown over the top. I mean, it's just how it's going to be.
Right. And then one quick mention about the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
Mike Glennon was benched early in the third quarter.
A lot
Minshew came in, didn't really do much better than Glennon did, but already Minshew named week 15 starter. So I think Doug Marrone has had enough of the Mike Glennon project. You can rest the baby giraffe, like Juan calls him, and possibly if you need to desperation play Minshew, but I totally don't recommend it up against the Ravens defense next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that either. A lot of flip-flopping quarterbacks, man. It's crazy. Doing the same thing in Chicago, flipping back and forth.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have 2 mediocre quarterbacks or two terrible quarterbacks. You just switch them in and out. I mean, that's what's going on this week.
Yeah, we'll get some more about switching quarterbacks in a little bit too.
Yeah, it's like changing of the horses, and we'll talk some horses.
Yeah.
We love talking horseshoes and horses and
Oh, we always
and
talk horses here.
stallions, and let's talk about some Colts. The Colts at the Raiders. It was the first of the 4 o'clock matchups, I believe, and the Colts win 44-27. Jonathan Taylor,
finally, man.
thoroughbred. He is a thoroughbred. You want to talk horses? Thoroughbred. There's a horse term for you.
That is a horse term. He's got, yeah, it's a shame that it came this far, this deep into the season, because you were really hoping to see it all season long. But listen, this is the time where it counts. So 20 for $150 and 2. Come on. 30.5 fantasy points.
And he had that big long 60-yarder
yeah,
that just destroyed, and it was wonderful to see. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy that they're finding ways to win games.
Yeah, that's really important for the Colts because they have a great offensive line and a great defense. And now that it's kind of starting to click, and it's really starting to click with Jonathan Taylor and the offensive line, and they're kind of getting into a rhythm. Listen, if it's going to happen, yeah, just like Juan just said down there, he gets Houston next week. And it's going to be the Jonathan Taylor, T.Y. Hilton show next week. Just you wait.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton got it done again.
Yeah, our waiver wire hero coming through. 5 for 86 and 2 touchdowns. 25.6 fantasy points on the day. And then on the other side of the ball, I know they can't win football games, the Raiders, but they're doing somewhat good for fantasy. We won't hurt Juan's feelings because we know he's watching in the background and talk about Josh Jacobs, but we'll stay on the positive side of things that Derek Carr, 25.84 fantasy points. He was QB3 on the week, goes for over 316, 3 total touchdowns. One of his big attributes was Nelson Aguilar, 5 receptions on 9 targets for 100 yards and another touchdown. That's his 7th touchdown of the season.
Yeah, man.
And his 3rd time going over 20 fantasy points. He is definitely an asset. If you have him in Dynasty, you hold on to him. Because I believe going forward, if he's doing this well, he's going to stay in that John Gruden system for a while.
Yeah, he's proven himself. He really has. And I would look for him to stay in that system for a while. And it's refreshing to see because he wasn't getting it done in Philadelphia and he was written off. And it's a shame to see that. But it's nice to see him be able to flourish in a system that really works for him.
Yeah, and
because at this point of the year, I thought it was going to be
they're
Henry
starting to fire people,
Ruggs.
man. They're starting to fire people in Las Vegas.
They fired,
they fired Paul Gunther, the defensive coordinator. So they're scrapping his playbook out of there, and it's going to be interesting to see who's named the interim or if John Gruden just takes over. I'm not sure if he'll do that or not.
I'll tell you what, I might take over. I might not. This is a group of guys. They're good. They're good guys out there. It's cool, man. It's cool, man. It's a good time.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
Well, the ring on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Raiders
versus Chargers next week. That should be a fun fantasy matchup. Both defenses kind of terrible, and lots of fantasy points involved in that. Colts versus Texans, as we mentioned earlier, Colts should keep rolling. I'm not sure. Let's see what their schedule is going down the stretch.
Who, the Colts?
They're 9-4. Do they have a shot? I think they have a shot at the playoffs. They should. Houston, and then they have to beat Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. Yeah, so they're candidates to get into the playoffs, and that's something to watch too for some DFS down the road.
Yeah,
Jonathan Taylor, that should be nice.
Yeah, I agree. Ooh, looking at that Houston matchup, man. I can't.
All right, we talked about some good matchups. Let's talk about a stinker here. Jets at Seahawks. Seahawks win 40-3, and it was a straight blowout.
Yikes!
Like the Seahawks were benching their starters in the fourth quarter.
It's like a preseason game.
Like they let Russ cook. He's cooking. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. Not even break 220 yards, but
you can only cook so much until
touchdowns.
You can only cook so much until they take you out of the kitchen.
Well, it's like, if like the chef on an omelet station, they're not worried about the order coming in. They're just cooking whatever the person says. Like, oh, You're throwing a coverage blitz at me? Okay. Oh, you're gonna play man defense? All right, I'm just gonna keep cooking it up, and utilizing DK Metcalf, 6 for 61 and a touchdown. He makes that omelet taste so good for the Seahawks. 18.1 fantasy points, and they relied a little bit on Chris Carson as well.
Yeah, they did. I'm really disappointed they didn't rely more on Tyler Lockett, or at least try to get him involved a little more, because he's been one of those guys where you start him week to week. You start him, but he hasn't really been doing, pedestrian numbers, like 10 points, 11 points, really nothing. Like, he's just a flex at this point. He played well against Arizona in week 11.
It's not that he's doing bad.
Not doing bad. It's just DK Metcalf
he catches all his targets, 5 for 52. It was the end zone work that really pushed him over the top. And we saw David Moore in this one kind of steal one, 3 for 20 and a touchdown. And and also, Swain got in the end zone. Freddie Swain. Who would have thought? That's how it goes. Maybe that was Tyler Lockett's chance, and it just didn't happen for him. And if they're going to play teams like the Jets, where they're just going to roll over, it actually works against the fantasy owner of Tyler Lockett, because how much has to go around if they're pulling starters in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, exactly. It makes it tough. That's for sure. So we talked about Carson, only 12 carries, but got it done with 76 yards and a touchdown. Finished with 18.8 fantasy points. Good day for Carson. On the other side of the ball, the Jets are terrible.
That's probably enough. Yeah, close the book on the Jets. Don't play them.
Nope. Let's move on.
Hashtag end analysis.
Hashtag end analysis. Because what else are you going to say, really?
Yeah, seriously. We can move on. We'll move on to the Packers and Lions. The Packers win 31-24 and retake the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Cheeseheads, man, they're cranking up the volume.
Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I love the man. I love watching him play football. Does he have 59 touchdowns on the season? 39?
39, I believe. 39. Yeah.
He has 39 touchdowns on the season. He's been picked 4 times.
Yep. That's insanity.
Amazing.
It's the connection between him and Davante Adams.
They have developed an amazing connection.
It's amazing is the word. Amazing Rodgers, maybe we call him. Because when he throws the ball to Davante Adams, it sticks to his hands. 7 for 115 and another touchdown.
And have to win up a glue gate.
Fantasy points. It's amazing. It really is.
Another 4 total touchdowns for Rodgers, man. Finishing with 26 out of 33 for 290 again. Got you a great fantasy day. Not that you didn't expect that. MVS.
Yeah, finally, MVS gets into the end zone.
Got to catch the ball. Yeah.
He went 6 for 6 on this day for 85 yards.
Caught the ball.
He's coming into his own as well, and it's not his first touchdown of the season. He had one back in week 10 against Jacksonville, 2 in week 9 against San Francisco. I think he's a viable flex play, or at least a dart throw. Like we mentioned, who did we mention? Who were we talking about earlier? Who was an if play? I would probably play him over Scotty Miller for Tampa Bay.
Okay, I would play him over Scotty Miller.
Yeah, that's good. I put him up a notch from Scotty Miller just because of the consistency, obviously.
Well, recency bias, the consistency, because you're always worried about whether or not those targets are going to go to Lazard. They're always going to go to Adams, but are they going to go to Lazard? Is it going to go to MVS? Is it going to go to Tunyon?
But looking at his usage and his targets, it's hard to tell. I mean, he missed, I believe, no, he did not miss week 12. He didn't miss week 13. It was just his day. That's the hard part about MVS. Yeah, you can't trust him on a weekly basis. One player that you should be able to trust was Aaron Rodgers, but you didn't really see too much in this one from Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, no.
Aaron Rodgers stuck in my mind, man, after that stellar fucking game he had.
Oh, my goodness.
That out. 15 carries for 69 yards for Aaron Jones. 9.5 points. Man, the chef is slipping. Whew.
No, the chef's doing his thing. Listen, Aaron Jones disappointed me greatly in a league where I really, really, really needed to win. And do you think that's due to the split cat? The amount of times that Jonathan, Jeez, now I'm doing it. Oh man.
You mean the amount of times Aaron Rodgers throws the ball, and Devontae Adams? Yeah, like there wasn't enough to go around
I
against
was just gonna say
Detroit.
the amount of times that Williams gets on the field.
Williams does split. I mean, I'm not really worried about Williams taking away stuff from Aaron Jones. We still saw 71% of the snap share go to Aaron Jones, and he had a decent outing. He averaged 4.6 yards on the ground, and I just think it wasn't his week, and we thought it was
against Detroit, but it wasn't where the script was going.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's a start week to week regardless, but
Matthew Stafford on the other side of the ball, and this is big news. He took a big rib shot late in the fourth quarter. We don't know if he's going to be back next week, and that sounds bad for all Lions involved. DeAndre Swift.
Yep. Because
he only bailed you out with a touchdown. It might get ugly for the Lions real fast.
When Matthew Stafford goes out, that's a bad sign because he plays through anything, and to take a big shot like that and see him go out, it's not good. And keep monitoring this going forward, but you might have to temper your expectations on whether or not Matthew Stafford's going to play next week. And with that, all of the pass catchers on the Lions side as well. DeAndre Swift on the running side only gets 7 carries for 24 yards. Bailed you out with a touchdown.
Right.
He had 4 catches through the air for 26, finishes with 15 fantasy points. Again, not really what you were hoping for a running back against the Packers this week.
And then the Packers play the Panthers next week. We talked about that previously. Lions going up against the Titans, and this is where I think, well, we talked about how Derrick Henry's yardage was going to hit that 2K mark. I definitely see it happening. I think they run all over the Lions, even though we didn't see it from Aaron Jones this week.
I'm really not looking forward to that. I have to play King Henry.
Good luck.
15 against Cody.
Good luck. Yeah, well, that's how it goes. Cody's on a roll.
Again.
Yeah, maybe he'll keep it. Who knows?
Not if I have anything to do with it.
Yeah, well, like the King is going to run. Let's talk about a little bit more running, and we'll get into your Eagles, man.
Sure, let's do it.
Get it done in the upset win over the Saints, 24-21.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts, he got the start, and he didn't disappoint.
No, he did not, and he didn't disappoint to the effect of he has now been named a starter for week 15, and I think it was a long time coming. I understand that there are things in place where you want to get Carson Wentz, you want to give him his due and you want to get him out there and hope that he gets things right, but it just wasn't happening. And you got to think that something really changed yesterday when you see how Jalen Hurts played and how the entire Eagles offense rallied around. The team in general rallied around Jalen Hurts. He went 17 for 30 for 167 and 1. Huge bright spot for Hurts. 18 carries for 106 yards.
Yeah, he did.
He did a lot of great things with the ball. 18.28 fantasy points. Great day for a guy if you had to pick him up.
Look at the highlights. He had a beautiful throw to Alshon Jeffrey to the front pylon, and he was there. He took the hit. Perfect timing and threw a beautiful ball right to the front pylon. Alshon Jeffrey caught it. He came in with a touchdown. And then they dominated with the running game against a top 5 running defense in the Saints. Miles Sanders, 14 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. That'll help any NFL team and any fantasy team if you have to play him. Yeah, 82-yard touchdown to the house. It's the second time he's done it this year, and up against big competitors as well. I believe it was the
Steelers did it against the Steelers. 74 yards. Yeah, that was huge, man. That was really encouraging to see because at the start of yesterday and the way things have been going, you don't really want to start Miles Sanders. You were kind of feeling.
I didn't have the guts to. I didn't have the guts to do it. I didn't.
Understandably so. But I mean, all the things aside, you can look at any sort of you look at any angle you want to try to put it together. But when you really look at it, the absence of Carson Wentz and the emergence of Jalen Hurts, good things happened all of a sudden. But you had to see it once to kind of be able to trust going forward. So.
I want to see what he does next week up against the Cardinals after what the Cardinals defense just did to the Giants.
Yeah,
I know because the Eagles have dealt with offensive line issues before. We'll see how they go up against the Cardinals, who they just tore the Giants apart, and I'm still crying over here.
We'll see what happens. Jalen Hurts is obviously way more mobile than Daniel Jones, so it's a different kind of game script for sure. So I'm looking forward to that game.
He's good. You guys got a good one there. I was just waiting for the breakout, and I'm happy I saw it yesterday.
Nice. And on the other side of the ball for the Saints, Taysom Hill, with the exception of losing the game, which nobody expected, Taysom Hill still was a viable fantasy quarterback filling for you, finishing with 291, 2 touchdowns, 18.94 fantasy points, kept to the script, kind of did what you expected.
Right.
Kamara had a decent day. We thought that Kamara was going to be completely, his value was going to be diminished with the emergence of Taysom Hill. Last week, Kamara had a good game. This week, finishes 11 carries for 50 and 1 on the ground, and then 7 catches for 44 yards. That's encouraging for Kamara.
Yeah, 22.4 fantasy points for Kamara. And him and Michael Thomas, 8 for 84 on 8 targets, caught all of his passes.
Yep.
16.4 fantasy points. I'm not worried about Kamara and Michael Thomas going forward. No. And I guess you can trust Taysom Hill as a low-end QB2.
Sure.
If you have to play him, if you're in a super flex league, he's probably one of your starters, perhaps. Maybe your second, maybe your flex.
My starter.
I'd like to see him go up against the Chiefs now that we saw Tua Tagovailoa do what he did against the Chiefs yesterday.
Yeah.
With pretty much no weapons around him. So with Michael Thomas and Kamara, that's going to be interesting.
Stands to reason. Yep.
So we talked about your birds. Let's talk about the dirty birds. Falcons at Chargers. Chargers finally get a win.
Finally.
20-17. Finally for the Chargers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Eckler did his thing, man. That was a big part of it. 15 carries for 79. 9 for 9. Caught 9 of his 9 targets. Caught everything. Yeah. 67 yards. Finishes with 22.6 fantasy points. Did a great job for your fantasy team. Keenan Allen got it done again. Which
always. Yeah, he's automatic. Automatic.
Big time.
He's catching 9 for 52 and a touchdown, 20.2 fantasy points. If we look at Keenan Allen's production over the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's only been under double-digit fantasy points once.
Week 13 against New England.
Yeah, week 13 and week 1 were his only 2 games this season under double-digit fantasy points. So that's amazing. He really is. He's a go-to receiver for Herbert. Eckler back in the fold in the short passing game. That's Herbert's MO. I mean, and then Mike Williams, he was out on this one. Yeah, always hurt. He just can't stay on the field. The guy was more of an acrobat than he is a receiver in some sense, even though he's big, strong. He exits again with a back issue. And I thought Guyton was going to come in and have a bigger game when Mike Williams exited. I said, okay, now I get to see Jalen Guyton.
Right.
But Tyron Jones instead, the second year out of Oklahoma State.
Tyron Johnson.
Yes. Did I say Tyron Jones? I got Johnson and Johnson on the brain. Jones, Johnson, Aaron. Oh,
no
man.
Tears. No tears.
No tears. Tyron Johnson, second year Oklahoma State, 6 for 55 and a touchdown, 17.5 fantasy points. If Mike Williams can't play, it's going to be interesting to see if they give Tyron Johnson a second chance up against the Raiders next week.
Yeah, after a week like this, why would you not?
He at least earned a shot, and they seemed like they were working together. So
yeah,
better than Matt Ryan.
That's right where I was going. He's just bad without Julio.
Right.
It really is. It's like a car. You can build the most amazing car, but if it doesn't have wheels, it's not going to go anywhere.
That's true.
Kind of how it feels. I mean, there is through the air. I mean, Calvin Ridley is an incredible talent. So it's nice to see that without Julio, Calvin Ridley still finishes with a great fantasy game. Caught 8 of his balls for 124 and a touchdown, finishes with 26.4 fantasy points. Russell Gage, another guy that we talked about yesterday in the absence of Julio Jones, did get it done. 39 yards.
He got it done through the air. He
Touchdown.
threw the touchdown to Calvin Ridley for his touchdown.
That's pretty cool. That's some Cole Beasley stuff.
Yeah.
That was nice to see. So with that, he finishes the day with 18.76 fantasy points, and Matt Ryan finishes with just over 10.
Yeah,
amidst all that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They trust Russell Gage more to throw a touchdown pass than they do Matt Ryan when Julio Jones isn't on the field.
I mean, I guess they needed some trickery against that Chargers defense because this was a close game. It was 17-17, like I believe, in the middle of the third quarter, and they just kept creeping along, and it came down to the last minute field goal by the Chargers to win it.
I mean, it's one of those games where the Chargers find ways to lose games and the Falcons find ways to lose games. So when you put those two together, it's really becomes about finding a way to win. Which the Chargers did, and most of their losses this year have been one-score losses. I mean, less than a touchdown, I believe, at most times. So to see Herbert finally get out with a win is encouraging. It's nice, and they play the Raiders next week, like you said, and the Falcons go up against the Bucks.
Yeah.
Remains to be.
Put your money on the Bucks.
Yeah, I'd say put your money on. How's do you think? What's Julio's status right now? Is he going to be out for next week?
I don't know what's going to happen. They may just keep him out for the rest of the season because they're probably out of contention as well, similar to the CMC situation.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. Oof, that's rough.
And one guy that got injured yesterday, and he's been somewhat of a inspiration for me with my back injury in my life. Alex Smith injured his calf yesterday in the Washington game. Oh, man. Thank God the MRI negative, but he is day-to-day. He's not done. So don't stick a fork in Alex Smith yet. The Washington football team takes over the 49ers in this win, 23-15.
Yeah.
And it was the defense. It was the D.
Yeah.
It was the D. 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries for a touchdown.
Huge.
It was just crazy. 25 fantasy points. They were the real winners.
Fantasy points.
Yeah.
Was that was that Juan's up Blitzkrieg this week?
Not sure. I don't know if they were available. I'd have to go back and check tape. You want to check tape?
Want to check some tape? You want to watch this kick? You want to see on Sundays when Chef and I watch the NFL Sunday Ticket, and we have 10 games in front of us on the same screen. Chef has since gotten a larger television, so it's a little easier to watch them now. But our favorite thing to do is whenever there's a team kicking, whether it's a punt or whether it's a kickoff, you want to watch this kick.
I think it started because we were always watching these extra points. The year that they missed all those extra points. Yeah. Like we thought, like it was
the camera going.
When they moved the extra point away more, made it longer, they started missing, and that's why. Hey, you want to watch this kick? And everybody was missing.
We were. I forget what the number was. I think it was it last year?
It was up there, man. It probably had to be like 70 something missed extra points or something.
Extra points and field goals. It was crazy. And the weather this year has definitely increased that number for sure. And it was Juan's Blitzkrieg. So Juan hit on the Washington football team defense for sure in a big way. 25 points is he scored more than a lot of your quarterbacks, or that they scored more than some of your streaming quarterbacks this week or starting quarterbacks this week. So that is encouraging to see for them.
I'd like to see what they're going to do next week up against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That NFC West division is still up for grabs. It seems the Rams are taking control, but the Seahawks, they have a shot. And the 49ers, they seem out of it, and they lost another piece. Yesterday, Deebo Samuel being injured in this game with a hamstring injury. We're still waiting on initial reports. Aren't good. And it's going to be tough for Deebo. I don't think he's going to be back for the rest of the season, which could help Brandon Ayuk, which we saw in this past game. 10 receptions on 16 targets, 119 yards. But it doesn't look good for the 49ers next week going up against the Cowboys. I could see the Cowboys winning this matchup next week. It's kind of crazy to say that.
You think you could?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see it being done through the air.
It's going to be a tough one. Yeah.
I mean, I could see it being tough, but I could also see Brandon Ayuk having a nice week next
Right.
week
Oh,
if
yeah,
Debo
it's
doesn't come
definitely
back.
fantasy relevant for a few pieces anyway. I think Mostert's gonna be involved,
Yeah, yeah.
and then maybe San Francisco gets a couple defensive pieces back. If
And
Emmanuel Mosley plays this week, that will help.
I
Kawhi Williams was out in this one, I believe.
I
So it
did get so it says that it doesn't sound like Kittle is going to play versus Dallas, but they're
he could be
going to start
16.
they're going to start putting him into practices and see how it's going
Oh,
for him.
so they're gonna activate him off of IR or open the window to activate him
Open
off
the
of IR
21
with
day
the 21-day window. Yeah,
the
that's gonna be
window.
great.
And so I actually picked up George Kittle in a league to stash for week 16 just in case. And so let me just ask you this. If George Kittle comes back for week 16, are you playing him regardless? If your tight
Yeah,
end is, I mean, yeah, right?
oh, wait, let me see. Oh, who are we gonna
Unless your
name?
tight end is, no, I mean, I'm saying unless you're the Kelsey owner or the Waller owner, or maybe Andrews, are you really?
No, the only one I would think about would be maybe TJ Hawkinson up in that area
Okay,
because we
right.
don't know the what's going on with Matthew Stafford. That's something that I would think about doing. Like if Matthew Stafford goes down, you'll have a week to see it. Um, he may not come back. We don't know what's going on with Matthew Stafford. So
You're
TJ Hawkinson would be a question mark for me. In that sense, I would put Kittle in over him.
and you're definitely playing him over Hunter Henry,
Yeah, 100%.
which is
If
what
Kittle
I will
plays,
be
you have
doing.
to put him in. Yeah.
Which is
And you
why I
probably
picked
don't
him up.
have Kittle. You probably don't have Kittle. I had Kittle and Hawkinson in a couple leagues, but I've probably never get like Kittle and Andrews or Kittle and Waller. It just wouldn't happen.
No, it'd be hard to make that happen the way the drafts go. But
Yep.
yeah. So next week, Washington gets the Seahawks, and as we mentioned, the Niners get the Cowboys. I'm interested to see what happens next week with Washington. If McKissick can maybe get something going, if Antonio Gibson doesn't come back, because he really didn't do. What do you have? 86 yards, McKissick.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for Washington, especially with Dwayne Haskins back
With
in the
yeah,
fold. So it's really gonna depend on him and see if he can control the ball and hold on to the ball like Alex Smith did against the Steelers last week. He was incredible, and that'll push us on to the next matchup. Steelers at the Bills, Sunday Night Football. Bills win 26-15. What a good game.
sure.
It
Yeah.
was a good football game. It was bad weather, a wintry mix, they call it. And
Mm.
us from the Northeast, we know what a wintry mix is. It's worse than snow.
It
It
is.
is slippery. It is annoying. It
It's
is
so
tough to
annoying.
drive in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather get 6 inches of snow than deal with a wintry mix.
Hate a wintry mix. Ugh.
Yeah. It just sounds bad. Wintry mix.
It does. It sounds like a bad, like a drink you don't want to order. Like, yeah, order whatever you want on the menu, but don't get the wintry mix.
Yeah, yeah. Don't get the wintry mix. And
Don't get the wintry mix and don't get the black ice.
yeah, speaking of black ice, the Bills, they just gave Pittsburgh all kinds of problems. They could not run the ball to save their lives. Connor, Samuels, Snell,
What
they
is
all
going
combined
on?
47 yards on
What is
17 carries.
going on with the running game in Pittsburgh?
It's
Should
terrible.
be
It
up there.
really is. It's
Ugh.
phantom. That's what it is. It's straight phantom. And then we saw their receivers, Deontay Johnson.
What
And
is
shout out,
going on?
I know
Juan,
Juan, you're in the chat probably
so
listening
sorry,
to
man.
this, and I'm sorry for the next comment, but Deontay Johnson was benched midway through the game because of the drops. He eventually came back in, but he leads the league in dropped balls. That's so many opportunities. I have faith that he will get better. I just expected him in his second year to come in strong and really take over. And it's not like he doesn't get the targets. He gets the target share. He just needs to hold on to the ball. And I think that's why he got a little timeout. He got a smack on the wrist per say you, and he got benched a little bit for this one. And then we saw James Washington come in.
He's lucky he came back in because a little smack on the wrists from Mike Tomlin is no small smack. If you keep dropping balls like that, you were undefeated. You were an undefeated team. Then you lose to the Washington football team, and then you turn around and lose to. Okay, well, losing to the Bills is a lot. That makes a little more sense than losing to the football team.
Right. And I mean, two losses in a row, and Juju being the leader on the offensive side with 17.5 fantasy points. He still got his 6 for 55. It seemed like he was the only one really catching the ball. But on the other side, there's a true connection with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yes, sir.
And I couldn't have been more wrong about my takes on Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs at the beginning of the season.
I remember.
And I hate myself for it. I hate myself for it, man. I really do.
I had bad takes.
Stamped.
Yep. I had bad takes on Big Ben at the beginning of the season. So on the other side of this ball, yeah, you can prove me wrong and stamp that too. Josh Allen has been awesome. He has just been an awesome fantasy quarterback for you. 24 of 43 yesterday for 238 and 2. He got picked once, but listen, that connection with Diggs, that is a true. Yeah, that's a real connection, man.
It turned the game around, and you just saw once they got the connection going, they never looked back. They had then it's the running game started to get going with Zach Moss a little bit. Stephon Diggs finishes the day 10 for 130 and a touchdown, 29.1 fantasy points. He is the real winner, and he may be one of the best wide receivers in the league this year because of that connection with Josh Allen.
He is in that conversation fantasy-wise with Devontae Adams. Like that's in that, and Tyreek Hill, he's up there.
Yeah, he could be in that conversation if he continues to see this time the target share like he is. I don't see it not happening. That's for sure. I want to see what they do next week up against the Broncos, who Robbie Anderson had a decent game. I think Stephon Diggs might just continue to have a great game as well. Yep. The Steelers, we talked about them a little bit. They get the Bengals. They look for them to get right.
That's a get right game. Yeah.
Yeah. They have to. They have to. They have to.
They have to.
Hey man, I think they have to. I believe their record is what now? 10-2.
I think they're them and the Chiefs. Where are the Chiefs?
Well, they're 10-2, and not just talking about them. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're 11-2. I apologize. But then the Browns. If the Browns win tonight, they're 10-3.
What?
So they're only one game behind out of first place. So they're going to have to play well. I think they get it done against Cincinnati, but yeah, it's going to be a rough one.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking at the standings right now.
Let's talk some Monday Night Football, man. We're here. We got a little bit of time before the game starts. Are you trusting Lamar Jackson? And we had one pop up come into the chat. I'm going to put it up here real fast. Controversial. Welcome in, Controversial. And I know you've been in here for a while listening. We appreciate you. Thank you. We did not forget about you. We wanted to get through some of that instant reaction from yesterday. And Controversial, he needs Lamar to get him 27 points. Tannehill just got 36 against the Browns. I think Lamar does it. 27. He's going to have to activate Marquise, getting some grease, Brown. Okay, that's one thing that's going to happen for Lamar. The other, Mark Andrews, is going to have to come back. He's had a little bit of a break coming off of the 2020. I think he shines in this one as well. The Browns giving up a lot of points, 10.7 on average to the tight end position. They are 31 in the league.
Yep.
I think also Devin Duvernay is interesting here on the other side of the ball because their primary cornerback is going to be covering Marquise Brown. I think Devin Duvernay can open it up. And J.K. Dobbins, of course, with the receiving work. And we haven't even seen Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram, man, you can't play him.
We see him, but like, what's he doing? He wears a purple shirt and he picks up the ball and gets, you know what I mean? What's Mark? He wears a purple shirt.
Like he didn't practice. He didn't practice on Friday. He's just taking time off. No injury reported or anything. He's just not practicing.
Just old.
Whatever. I think he practiced a little bit on Saturday just in case they need him. I think it's safe to say, if for dynasty purposes, that J.K. Dobbins has claimed his stake in that offense going forward. I think it's going to be him and Gus Edwards next year.
Yeah, I agree. And when I saw Gus Edwards last week, I really was amazed at the burst that I saw out of the Gus bus. I didn't. Maybe it's just I hadn't watched enough Ravens games closely this year to really, discerning the backfield for Baltimore has been difficult to begin with Ingram and Dobbins and Edwards. But really seeing Edwards, like I was like, wow, he really does look good, and he does, and Dobbins does too, especially in the passing game. So you expect to see hopefully all three of them in terms of J.K., Marquise Brown, and Andrews getting to the end zone tonight. Might even see him.
I think Lamar can do it for him. Controversial there.
I mean, I hope I really hope that Marquise can do it. That Marquise Brown can do it for Lamar, because it's more about like Lamar will give him the ball, but can Hollywood hold on to it?
The real key, I think,
last week, but
I don't know. I have to update this a little bit, but I want to know if Calais Campbell is going to play. And they haven't. I don't think they've released it yet, whether or not he's going to play. He did not practice all week, so he didn't look good. He is still status questionable as of right now. If he plays, say goodbye to Baker Mayfield, and that's what I want to get into next on the other side of the ball. It's going to be a battle for Baker. Okay, he doesn't have Carterell Hodge. We're going to see Donovan Peoples-Jones, which I think he
you
might
called that last week.
Yeah, I think he has a chance to do it. And Nick Chubb, they're going to lean on Nick Chubb a lot in this one. So much.
You're not going to see what you saw last week out of Baker Mayfield tonight. You're going to see a lot more of Nick Chubb. You're going to see him try to get it done on the ground. The last 2 weeks, well, last week especially, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty good for Baker Mayfield. He's finally starting to come into his own, but tonight's going to be a true test, against Baltimore. If you got to play him, you got to temper your expectations for sure. But I think it's going to be a ground game for sure, leaning on Chubb and leaning on Hunt too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Going back and forth on the run game per se, and then whoever makes the spreads on the passing game, I think that's going to be the telltale sign on who wins the game. It's going to be that final play. I think it's just going to go back and forth a little bit more than we expect. I really do. I initially thought it was going to be the run game, but the way the Browns have been susceptible to passing, if Lamar Jackson starts throwing balls and they start catching balls, this one's going to go back and forth a little bit. I like this one. What's the over under on this? The over under 7, and Baltimore's giving 2 points. Yeah, it's going to be a real close game. Real close game.
Thought, man. Who would have thought? Browns, the Cleveland Browns getting it done. I'm happy for them. I really am. I'm looking forward to some Jarvis Landry tonight.
My Baker Mayfield shares look a little bit better now.
There you go. Might get some help tonight with Jarvis. That's for sure.
Right. Anything else you want to mention? Oh, one quick thing. Austin Hooper probably not going to play.
Yeah.
He's with a neck injury. He did not practice at all this week. I don't think he plays.
If he doesn't play, you got Harrison Bryant and David Njoku to contend with. So who do you start? Who do you trust? If you're in that situation and you have one of them going, it's Monday night. You've already made that decision. But
yeah, I mean, if you have both of them, it's too tough to tell, man. It really is. I guess I would lean Njoku for the chance that he spreads it out, but Harrison Bryant would probably see more of the inside target work in the crossing patterns, in the slants. Yeah. The short intermediate crossing routes to Harrison Bryant. Maybe if you see them having a clock situation where they need to get out of bounds that fast, that's where Harrison Bryant comes in.
Okay. I can see that. Nice.
But I don't really trust either one of them, to be honest. You probably don't have them in your lineup.
Yeah, it's probably not a problem. Yeah, you're probably good.
If you listen up, you didn't have them in your lineup. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Plenty of better tight ends out there. But hey, things happen. All right.
Maybe you only have $400 in your DFS and you can spend them on Harrison Bryant.
Harrison Bryant, DFS. But all right. I think that about does it, my friend. Thank you for jumping in here with Juan out and and crushing it. You did a great job. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I hope the move is going well. I hope you're killing it.
Yeah, don't hurt your back, bro.
Yeah, do not hurt your back. Don't do who else? Who hurt their back? Is it Stafford that hurt his back? No, he hurt his ribs. Don't hurt your back.
Yeah, my neck, my back.
His back's gonna hurt. Yeah, neck, back, everything. Don't do any of that. But another great show. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Good luck tonight. You can find me at FFJohn, JAWN Swanson on Twitter. And we will see you guys Wednesday night for Week 15's matchups. It is getting real. This is why
the tilt is definitely real for Week 15.
It's so real.
And like Mr. Swanson said, you could check us out Wednesday night. If you have any questions before that, write into @TIR_pod on Twitter. Hit those DMs up. We'll check them. We'll answer some questions. I get them through the week, Mr. Swanson. It's great.
Oh yeah,
they really do. They really do trust our opinion, and I appreciate every one of you that listen to this show,
which is crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting us. Woof.
Checking me out tomorrow night at 4:00 at Join Our Circle _ for the waiver wire tilt with Nate and Chase Vernon. Fantasy Intervention. We'll be on there giving you the waiver wire advice, and our waiver wire hero sheet will be out tomorrow morning.
Very important.
Sometime before noon. I'll get on it fresh, bright and early. It's the first thing I do on Tuesdays.
Nice.
So thank you very much for tuning in. You can find me at FF_chef on Twitter. And that's the show, man. I think we're done. I think we're done.
Good luck tonight, everybody.
Good luck, and see you in Week 15. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Check out our website at thetiltisreal.com for weekly articles, breakdowns, and more. Follow us on Twitter at TIR_pod. We'll see you Tilters next week.